It's week 4 of the NFL season, and we are previewing this primetime affair as our Seahawks return to their home away from home in Lumen, East Rutherford to take on the New York Football Giants. We'll examine how the Seahawks can shrink the G-Men, what Jamal's return brings to the table, and just how good can Gino be on what looks to be a pristine early fall evening in northern New Jersey. Be sure and like and subscribe to the channel, it helps, and make sure you stick around to the very end as we unveil our weekly game wishes. Let's go. Welcome friends to the newest edition of Seahawkers What If, the most unique Seahawks preview show in the multiverse. I'm your host, Clinton Bonner, and I am joined by the one, the only, the great Brandan Schultz. And of course, it would not be, it could not be, we could not traverse the Seahawks multiverse without the protector of the multiverse, Mr. Phil Leidick. Gentlemen, there he is down there, right down there if you're watching on YouTube, and you ought to be. Gentlemen, now we're 2-1. My voice is still sore, guys, still recovering from screaming all game long, because that's what you do to cause 8 false starts, because, you know, we're part of the vibe there. And now we get the extra day. It's on the East Coast, a little Monday Night Football in East Rutherford, where guess what? Our Seahawks have had some history and some recent history and some darn good history in that Meadowlands Stadium. So Mr. Brandan, first and foremost, how you doing, dude? Are you now rotating for the Panthers win and getting ready for Monday Night Football?
Oh, I'm ready for Monday Night Football. Yeah, just as it's like the inverse relationship to that Cardinals stadium. Like all the good things happen in East Rutherford, and I just can't wait to go back there.
Yes, the exact opposite of all the bad things, all the good things. And Mr. Phil, how you doing? You got the beautiful Kenny Easley jersey on there. It looks really nice. It looks real nice.
Jersey. Thank you.
Yeah. Happy birthday to you, rocking the 45. Although, well, we don't need to tell people your age.
You guys are 45. I just went over the 45, but what was my dad's favorite when I was a child. So
it's a fantastic jersey. So we're playing the Giants. They're kind of reeling in the years. We're in the fields, they're in the reels. They're not so good yet. So, Mr. Phil, what do you want us to know about this Giants team? What did you learn?
Well, Clinton, Brandan, we're going to jump in with our previously with the protector here. Take a look at the Giants. They haven't done very well by DVOA. Let's just say that. I'll go quickly. On offense, they are 29th. Now, the protection was better than I expected against the Niners to start off. Very limited push in the run game, which is not surprising. They did leave Bosa completely unblocked once. That was kind of funny. Jones was making pocket errors. I'm not just talking about like pocket errors as he on calls. He was making mistakes on how to deal with the pressure. Like he would walk into it. It was just kind of odd. No real playmakers without Barkley, which I think we all knew that. Maybe you guys know something different, but they tried some max protect in the second half, had a little bit of help, but that's it for offense. On defense, they're worse by DVOA, 31st. Had a softish zone, occasional blitz with some man coverage they tried here and there. They got pushed back in the run game. So both sides of the line of scrimmage, a real problem for them. Active hands on the D-line. I saw them trying to bat balls down. They succeeded one good one and maybe nicked another. Pretty reliable in their tackling. Looks like there's effort from some gang-style tackling when they get there. They seemed a bit soft up the middle. One difference maker I kept seeing is inside linebacker number 41, McFadden. Seems to always read the play and clean up, and so his teammates help him out with that. Did you guys have any comments about the Giants before Clinton moves us forward here?
Darren Waller would be the one weapon that I think I'd be concerned about, and we can talk more about him later. But yeah, defense, I mean, the guys that I feel the most worried about are guys like Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams, right up the middle of that interior of the defensive line. It really is where their strength is. So, but yeah, when you're looking at the 29th by DVOA offense and 31st by defense, it feels awfully easy to point out more of the negatives.
And that was our Previously with the Protector. Thank you, Mr. Phil. And folks, you've heard me talk previously about a family member of mine that recently switched to Mint Mobile. They are our partner for this week's video. My family member, they got their brand new phone shipped to them directly. Didn't have to waste any time going to any crowded stores on a weekend, on a short weekend. They followed that up with, following some dead simple online instructions. Within 15 minutes, they're set up. They're set up with Mint Mobile. The signal was really strong. And dudes, they're paying $15 a month. $15 a month. That's all they're paying. That's a pretty good deal. And you've probably seen Mint Mobile commercials before, typically starring Ryan Reynolds. And of course, everybody loves that guy. You're probably wondering, like, hey, is the service good? Is it easy to switch? These are kind of the big things that keep us from taking such a leap, if you will. For my family member, they go online, plug in their zip code. They could go online, pick out their phone, pick out their plan. It's shipped to them. And I've got a family member now paying $15 a month with Mint Mobile. Folks, if you want to check out the prices and the deal, go to the special link. We'll put it on screen, mintmobile.com/Seahawkers. You'll see it there. Please dive in. A big thank you to our partner, Mint Mobile, there. So come and ask me questions. But now, Mr. Phil, it's time for you to ask us questions, which means it's time to hear about the themiology, the big theme for week number 4, this Monday Night Football. What's our theme for this week, Mr. Phil? Because I know Mr. Brandan, I keep calling you Mr. Brandan. Brandan and I know Brandan and I are very excited for the themiology.
Well, I kept it basic. You said big theme, so it does deal with big. A lot of times the Giants are referred to as the G-men, but of course, giant being, supposed to be a large character. Here's what's interesting. DVOA seems to think the Giants are quite bad. And then DVOA thinks we're pretty good. And yet we're 1-point underdogs. I guess we're on the road, so that does say that we're a little bit better team. But I'm thinking they're the Giants. They're the G-men, simple, like Mario. When he gets hit, he goes from giant Mario or big Mario to little Mario. So here's the theme, gentlemen. What if we shrink the G-men? What if we shrink the G-men? I got 6 G categories. We have ground, growth, Gino, gone, Jamal, and generous.
You're working pretty hard on that Jamal one.
We have to get a Jamal in for this week. This is Jamal week. So, it had to happen. Had to get it in there somehow. Brandan, we are at week number 3, which means it is Brandan's turn to make the first selection.
Oh, I can't help when I see something funny on the screen. I've got to go there first. We got to start with Jamal.
Jamal. You couldn't help but
Jamal.
start.
Let's go. Love
with
it.
Jamal. Let's get right to it. Here we go, gentlemen. Brandan, what if Adams has a huge impact as he returns to where his pro career began? What kind of impact do you expect to see from number 33?
Yeah, this is a great time for the return of Jamal Adams because it is this offensive line that has really it's the reason why Daniel Jones has struggled to start this season. Because when I go down the list and I look at guys like Evan Neal, who might be playing hurt, but looking at the PFF grades, like he's in the negative, deep into the negative in terms of his pass blocking grade. Also giving up 9 hurries so far this season, 13 pressures coming off that left side. Lewinsky also, even though he hasn't even played the full complement of snaps at guard, he's given up 10 pressures. And so you look at those 2 guys that tend to play on the left side. And if we can see Jamal coming off the left side to where not only do they have to worry about Jamal, but also somebody in the backfield who might be lining up to take him on as a blitzing, edge defender, essentially. Yeah, it's going to be real fun. So I expect Jamal to have some pressures in this game.
Pressures in the game. How about you, Clinton? What kind of impact do you expect to see from Jamal in his first game back?
Yeah, this will be extremely exciting. He's supposed to be back. Pete said as much. As long as he gets through the week, A-okay. It'll be interesting to see how many snaps percentage-wise, he gets out there, and we'll see that later. The answer, though, boys, for me is the 2023 Miami Dolphins. This ain't with the Giants, right?
Yeah.
So meaning the inverse of that. these are fine ball players, you know, Darius Slayton, Jalen Hyatt, Isaiah Hodgins, right? Paris Campbell. They're fine. They're fine. It is a perfect template to allow Jamal to go do Jamal things where and use the rest of the team to kind of do what we did against the Panthers, especially second half versus the Panthers. Just a lot more press, a lot more man, a lot more, okay, Andy, you go and beat us. And yes, he threw the ball 58 times. And yes, he had 300 and something yards, whatever it is. It's a-okay because this offense is, likely no Barkley. And if he is there, probably quite reserved in his efficacy. This is the perfect game to kind of let Jamal go be Jamal, where like, if there's a mistake one way or the other, we're likely not getting burnt downfield too badly. So it's a perfect time to put him back in there, let him just buzz around the line of scrimmage, get some blitzes in, be super instinctive against the run, and just go be disruptive. It's a more of a feel thing for me on this one, guys, about going to be disruptive. But what a perfect primordial soup of a Giants team to allow for it, because it's just not something where you're going to get burnt by a Waddle or Tyreek Hill with Tua, who only takes a half a second to get rid of the ball.
Yeah.
It's very, very different than that. So let Jamal go be Jamal. Perfect setup for his return.
Awesome. I can't hardly wait to finally watch him play with his team. I'm really hoping he's the magic dust to get us going here. What do you got, Clinton, for next? We got 5 choices left for you.
Okay, well, Super Mario. We talked about Super Mario Edwards recently, right? On 3 in 3 out. Man, that dude is balling out. But when Mario eats the mushroom, it's a do-do-do-do-do-do. He grows. So let's go growth.
Yeah, I kind of had like an amalgam of theme, kind of like interweave the different theme aspects this particular time, and you guys are catching on to that. Growth, here we go. Clinton, what if our team can show growth in this game preceding the bye? Something we're going to be excited about as we have to wait 2 weeks to watch our team again. Where is growth most needed? So if you could pick an area you'd love to see us seeing some of those green shoots you like to talk about going into this game, where's it most needed, Clinton?
Oh, I'm so excited that I chose this category before Brandan got there. So he can't steal my answer. So we talked about this a bit on 3 in 3 out, the recap show for Seahawks Panthers. Look, I love numbers, right? I love a little numerology. And of course, the football field is laid out in 100 yards, as we all know.
And 53 and a third.
Yes, correct. Thank you. So what I've been suggesting is that we have gotten extremely good between the 20s. I think Waldron is calling extremely inventive, very, very inventive games between the 20-yard lines.
Yeah.
Now we have solved, in my opinion, we've kind of solved the 5 yards and in. We have solved that. That's Kenneth Walker time. 4 touchdowns in 3 games. Oh, look, Kenneth Walker can run the ball around the goal line. And if it's not Kenneth, well, then Zach Charbonnet can go steal a soul or 2 around the goal line. And congratulations again on the MVC and the angry runs and the angry run scepter for Zach. That's awesome. So what's left, guys? What's left is just, it's the beginning of the red zone, that 20 to the 5-yard line. That red zone is still a bit of a dead zone. That's what we got to figure out still. I love seeing these videos of Gino, talking with JSN, Gino talking with Bobo. I'm going to find you. I'm going to find you. I'm going to find you. People are like, well, JSN's not getting involved. He must not be getting open. Nope. There's plenty of data out there saying JSN is actually getting really open. So let's solve that 20 to the 5. Let's get JSN involved. More Bobo right there as well. Let's proceed with first downs into the 5-yard line for more touchdowns, less field goals. That is exactly where we can grow before the bye week.
All right, Brandan. Clinton went all on the offense, moving 3-pointers into 7 points. What do you got, Brandan? Where do you hope to see growth, something we can celebrate going into the bye week?
Yeah, and I don't even know if I agree with Clinton that it has to be the receivers. I wouldn't mind even seeing the tight ends, just because you point out the tight ends, Clinton. I think that can be an area where, gosh, we've seen where they send the wide receivers to the end zone. They're able to clear out some of that zone for tight ends to maybe block and then, bounce off their defender and then find themselves kind of in that open space. And so if they are creating that type of open space inside the 20s, I'd be okay with that too. But in terms of growth, I would like to see growth from the defense in terms of third down conversions, because against the Carolina Panthers, go back to this last Sunday, third down conversions, the Seahawks offense was only 3 of 13 on the day. And I know. Yes, they scored 37 points, but a lot of those field goals early on because they were not converting on third downs. And the Carolina Panthers
Mm-hmm.
third down conversion rate on Sunday, 10 of 19. So
yeah,
a little
and
bit,
we're 57% for the season on our defense against third downs.
It's not good. So with this team, the Giants coming up on Monday Night Football, got to keep them under 50% on the day.
Love it. Love it.
Yep.
Let's do it. All right. So, Brandon, you're going to take us to our third slot. We got ground, Gino gone, and generous left. Where do you want to go?
Gino.
Gino. I love it. That would just made too much sense with the letter G. We had to go here for this one.
Absolutely.
You like all the names that start with G. Jamal, Gino. I noticed that. Okay, Brandon.
Kenneth Walker. Yeah.
Yeah.
What if, Brandon, back in the stadium where Gino began his career, we get to see MVGeno? How will our diamond from the rough shine on Monday Night Football?
MVGeno. You know, I think that this, again, goes back to where I'm talking about third down conversions, except, it's more toward the positive end for our offense. And if we can see Gino get in these situations where he can consistently convert the offense on third down, generally those conversions, when it's the third down, they're usually passing situations. We haven't seen the team, in a whole lot of third and short. So hopefully we can see Gino get into those third and relatively short or even mid-range distances to where he is converting, moving the team down the field, and on the positive end of the third down conversions.
I love it. Let's get some third down conversions. Clinton, we got our other player, former Jet with a G, going back to face the G-men. This time it's Gino. What are you looking for? How's he going to shine on Monday Night Football?
Yeah, there's a real cool threshold for when you get A+ Gino, and it revolves around completion percentage.
Oh.
So just to throw the, we all remember from last year that he topped out he led the league 69.8%. Let's be gracious and round up for the gentleman. Basically 7 out of every time, 10 times he went back to pass and passed the ball. Completion, pretty darn good when you think about that. 7 out of 10 times, just think of it so simply. So far this year, he was just below, he was 61.5% versus the Rams, an ugly outing. Detroit was 78.1%. And that was like, holy crap, that is MVGeno status. Carolina, a little bit of a slide back, just under 64%. So, and he did miss.
I mean, if Clinton, you're probably hanging a lot of that on Tyler Lockett more so than me.
Well, his first half, Gino, that was a bummer this time, but I'm happy to see him play that way in the second half. If I have to choose, I'll go for second half.
That's exactly it. He really has only put together a full game once, if you will, against the Lions, right? And yes, I still blame Lockett because the ball hit him in the face, and you should catch those balls. And that's that, Brandon.
You probably blame him for the Rams loss too, don't you, Clinton? The one
I don't know. I
touchdown the Lockett had, but somebody grabbed his face.
That was preseason. That game.
World hunger. Tyler Lockett.
So if we're looking for a particular threshold, I think it's somewhere around, it's getting over like 72% completion rate against this G-men. Now you say, okay, well, the Meadowlands is a typically, kind of notoriously not the easiest place to go spin the ball, a lot of wind and things like that. And what's happening in the fall? Well, guess what? It's going to be like 79 degrees on Monday. And then like kickoff could be like 62, 63 degrees, even like super, super mild day. Looks like very little wind. So pristine conditions for some spinning the ball football wise. And, make no mistake, it's outdoors in the rain. You see it dip a little bit. It's indoors versus Detroit. You see it climb a little bit. So we're going to get really, really clean conditions in the Meadowlands. So I'm expecting 70+% completion percentage. And if we're there, then we're pitching towards A to even A+ Gino. and that's how he gets that form. And if he's there, by the way, we're winning this game by more than 2 touchdowns.
So here's the important question, Clinton. When you go to a game, do you tend to bring the good weather with you or the bad weather with you?
Oh, geez. It was kind of a mixed bag. I'll tell you this. When I got off the plane in Bozeman, Montana last week, it was freaking pouring. And Adam picked me up. He's like, dude, it's been 72 degrees and sunny for 2 weeks straight. And the rain just, it was raining when I left Connecticut. It was raining when I landed in Bozeman. It rained at the game, but we were under the covers. And I red eye back home, and it's pouring in Hartford. It stopped raining today. So my recent streak is rain. However,
that settles it. Buy your ticket. Send somebody else. Send another person that has better weather luck.
Better weather.
Okay. Here we go.
Sweater weather, better weather. Yes, let's go.
Category 3, Clinton. We got ground, gone, and generous left.
You know what? There's a lot. I like all those. Well, maybe I like 2 of the 3 of those. I want to learn more about ground because that feels to me like we could go do big things. What's in that ground category?
You said ground, didn't you?
I did. Ground. Yeah.
Ground. Okay. I almost took you to the wrong place. Here we go. Let's take a peek at the ground category. Clinton, what if we can continue our success in the ground game? Will we be more challenged on defense or offense this particular week? This has been an area on both sides of the ball we've done quite well this year. Where do you think the bigger challenge is and why?
Very good question. I don't think it's challenging on either side particularly, but that's not the question. Yeah. So I'll say there'll be a bit more challenge on the offensive side because as Brandan talked about earlier, the middle of that line for the Giants is still a bunch of beefy boys who are body movers, who can move people. Okay. Now, I think this game sets up very well for Kenneth Walker in those types of runs where it's supposed to go left. And he's like, well, you're all going this way. I have more agility than you and I'm faster than you to the edge. And we see him escape around the edges. Went back and watched some of the Cardinals game, and James Conner, who is still a good NFL back, but not on the same level of K9 in terms of agility and kind of that burst, was able to do that quite a bit. Start left, see everybody wash away and then just burst outright and go for pretty big gains. So I think the challenge will still be on the offense. And this is, to me, less of a Charbonnet game from a personnel perspective, more of a K9 game from what suits his style of running.
Yeah, I could see that.
And with that, though, I also think that Charbonnet probably earned a few more touches because, again, when you win the MVC, well, good things happen.
That's huge. I will say, if we choose to go up the middle on this team, we have to have a plan for McFadden because it's very noticeable. It was very noticeable, at least in the previous game, when they were ready to move a center or send somebody to deal with McFadden, it really opened things up differently versus if they let him roam, that guy is a problem. He's not going to miss tackles. So I think that's going to be an issue if we decide to run up the middle. Brandan, how about you? Do you want to deal with one of these as far as in the ground game? What do you think's more challenging and why in this matchup?
In terms of their run defense, I think, you kind of nailed it when you talked about the tackling because they're much more sound in terms of their tackling on the defensive side when it comes to the run game as opposed to the pass game. A lot more missed tackles with receivers and dealing with them than dealing with running backs. Why? I don't know why that is, but the stats bear out that way. And you have guys, Ashawn Robinson, 9 stops on the year already, Dexter Lawrence with 9 stops, and you brought up McFadden, who has 7. So those are the 3 guys that are really sound when it comes to stopping the run. If I go over to the other side of the ball, say that Saquon isn't even out there, you still have to have a plan for when it comes to Daniel Jones. And I hope that the Seahawks don't overlook that when it comes to the Giants running game, because there's a dude who can take things over in terms of the run game if you don't account for him. So I think that that's going to be a challenge, especially coming off of a guy like Andy Dalton. I was curious to see how they'd handle Bryce Young if he would have played in that Panthers game, because then they would have had to account for a mobile quarterback, and they're going to get challenged with that this week, I think, with Daniel Jones.
Yeah, good call. Last time we played him, I felt like Jones was more damaging to us than Saquon when we played him last time, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Okay, here we go. Two choices. We got gone and we got generous. What will you choose?
I'm going to be generous and leave that final category for Clinton. I'm going to take gone.
She's gone. Here we go.
That's gone, a great song. Great song. Little H and O, right?
Yes, Hall & Oates. There we go.
Love it. Love that song.
Here we go. Brandon, what if another pass catcher gets away from our DBs? Which Giant is most likely to eat Mario's mushroom and run off with a big day? It seems like we always make these, like, start anybody who's got a spark in fantasy that plays against us. Somehow we can turn them into game of the year, another game of the year against the Seahawks. I saw somebody say, should we have a different category for rating receivers when they play against the Seahawks, just so that you don't confuse the numbers that show up against them? What pass catcher are you concerned about with the Giants, Brandon?
Yeah, I got to go with their tight end, Darren Waller, because if we've seen, I think back to the Lions game and Laporta and the way he was able to
you just wanted to say Laporta.
I just wanted to say Laporta, but he's also, I saw a stat that of the rookie tight ends, he's the first one to have 5 or more catches in each of his first 3 games as a rookie tight end. So he's been tearing it up.
Yeah, he's good, actually.
I do have to worry that for a veteran tight end like Waller, he'll be able to continue that. He has 12 catches, 132 yards on the season so far, not yet in the end zone. So I'm hoping that the Seahawks can find a way to keep Waller out of the end zone. And I worry about how tight ends are going to, are they going to handle him? And if Jamal's back, are they going to leave that coverage responsibility to Jamal, or is it going to fall to Love if they're able to find a way to get all 3 safeties on the field? That's going to be a question that, with Jamal coming back, how the defense handles that, and then what responsibilities they give to who. And it could end up leading to a big day for Waller.
Yeah, I could see that. Clinton, are you worried about any of these receivers, or you have a different pass catcher that you think might run off with a big day here?
Yeah, I got a different dude. I was thinking when I was answering about Jamal earlier, I failed to mention that it will be cool to see if they just kind of sick him on Waller when he is in coverage, and maybe could bring his hat a couple times. That would be really neat to see. However, the dude that I think has the most propensity, the most likelihood to be this week's Adam Thielen is actually Wan'Dale Robinson. And there's a few reasons for that. He is the get open guy for this Giants team. You might go look at his stats and be like, well, he has 4 receptions on the year. Yes, he's only played 1 game. He just got back. They played the 49ers. He was targeted 5 times, had 4 catches. This dude is probably going to rack up, well over, 6+ receptions. And it might not be the depth of target that Thielen was getting, and Thielen had some yak as well, but they're going to get the ball in Wan'Dale Robinson's hands. This is kind of the dude that after Kadarius Toney flamed out of the Giants, they traded him away to the Chiefs. This was the next man up. They're like, all right, a little bit more than just a gadget guy, but he's the dude who gets the ball around the line of scrimmage. He's the quick outlet. He's the dude who just drag routes and sits down in zones. And you're going to see, let me see, what is the dude's number? What is Wan'Dale's number, by the way? There he is. Number 17. Thank you. It took me forever to find him. But Wan'Dale Robinson, number 17, is the dude that I think we're going to be sitting there going, oh, wow, he did a little bit of damage, did a dent or two. And just because of the volume he's going to get, he's the dude who's got a chance to break a big play or two on our Seahawks. I don't want that to be the case, but when we do PNW prop stars, I'm going to be looking for some Wan'Dale props, especially on receiving, volume of receptions, because I think he's going to go over.
All right. Final category. Do you want to be generous here?
Yes, I'll be generous and say, Phil, would you please read the category to me on generous? Thank you.
Okay. So before I read this question, I just have I have a few stats I found, and this is going to be your guys' chance to talk me off the ledge a little bit here, or help all of us that are kind of concerned about our pass defense. Our run D is playing great, 2.9 yards per carry, which is 3rd best in the NFL. but we're second last in third down D, 57.4%, 31st in passing yards allowed, 328 a game, 29.3 points a game. That's not good. And that's even with a great offense that we have. Most explosive passing plays, 20-plus yards given up. We've given up more than anyone. We're 29th in sack rate, though our pressures have really come up good after last week. So I see some improvement there. We're better than last year against Yak, but we've been wrecked on these intermediate and deep throws. So here's your question, Clinton. What if you find a way to speak kindly about our pass defense? What compliments might a generous man give in regard to this Seahawk pass defense?
Love this. This is fun. You're fun. Thank you, Phil. All right. So again, I love my numbers, right? So if I'm going to put my generous cap on, and I love to extrapolate, well, here we go. How many sacks do we have in week 1? 0.
Exactly. Yes.
0. How many sacks do we have in week 2?
1,
2.
2. Okay.
How many sacks did we have last Sunday versus the Panthers?
2.5.
4, I believe.
4.
Right?
Oh, okay.
I believe 4.
That's
somebody fact
How
check
many
me.
sacks from outside linebackers or edge defenders?
I don't know. That's fine. I'm not sure there yet. But just extrapolating the numbers here, we went from 0 to 2 to 4. So clearly, fellas, the only answer is we're getting 8 sacks on Monday Night Football.
Okay, I got you now.
and that is going to be the way that we are generous to ourselves. And if we're getting 4 sacks, 5 sacks, 6 sacks, 8 sacks, that'll do a lot of good when it comes to bringing some of those other numbers back to earth, if you will, back to the mean. And so Daniel Jones has now been sacked 12 times, in 3 games. And yes, the Cowboys did quite a bit of damage. And yes, they played the 49ers, 2 teams that could get after it. 12 times in 3 games. So I want to see Seattle get 4+ sacks and then watch the rest of it just complement itself with complementary defensive football.
I see how we're going to do it, Clinton. We're going to borrow Parsons and Bosa, and then
yes.
and that's where the 8 sacks are going to come from. We'll get them off the edge finally.
Love it. And so they'll choose to not cover Bosa again, which was a choice, right?
Yeah, that was a kick. Brandan, how can we be generous? What compliments can we give to the pass defense so far?
Well, I suppose one of the compliments I can give, just based on, I think one improvement we saw in this last game with Artie Burns on the field, with Devin Witherspoon on the field. Hopefully Reek is going to be back in this game against the Giants. But a critical person might say that Artie Burns was not great last week against the Panthers because he did give up quite a few catches. But a generous person would say that he found his way near the football more often than Kobe Bryant did in previous weeks. So that's one reason why I would tend to lean more toward Artie Burns than Kobe. And Witherspoon, we talked about him in 3 and 3 out. That was the guy who was consistently finding himself near the ball despite being tested on multiple occasions. So you get Reek out there, you get Devin out there, and let's see if Artie Burns hangs in there as the nickel defender. And I think you have 3 players that even if they're being thrown at, they're going to be consistently near the football and able to make plays. And one of these times, or multiple times, it's going to burn the opposing offense. And so I want to see him keep testing those DBs.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm hanging my hat on. We haven't seen Reek and Spoon play at the same time yet. So
right.
And we have Jamal on the field with Quandre. So
yeah, it has not been the fully operational battle station yet. And I think that's a great point that you're saying, both of you saying there. It's what happens when it's Witherspoon and Woolen and Trey Brown and Jamal, right? Like it'll come. That day will get there. We'll have them all. And that's again a really nice way to say like the best is yet to come for our DBs, right? Psyched about that.
Right. Gentlemen, what if we find out our wishes here? What if we find out our what if Super Hawk for the week?
Nice.
I got a few in from the flock on the Discord, so we toss that up here. Levin the Good Life, Levine the Good Life. How do I say that so I don't say it wrong on one of our fine
I think Levin, Levin. Yeah. So
the Good Life.
I think so.
His wish, speaking of Spoon, a Spoon interception. I'm going with this again because I really want to see him get his first pick, and also because we get Danny Primetime Derps next game. Okay, Josh DeHuman, his wish, Kenneth Walker. Now, his wishes are big. Like, he goes for the big splash. Kenneth Walker, 100 yards rushing, 100 yards receiving, 1 rushing touchdown, 1 receiving touchdown. Who let the K9 out? Pete. And Witherfork, his wish, 3-1 at the bye with no more injuries. And that's what I was hoping for, looking at the schedule at the beginning, was to go 3-1, but I wasn't hoping for all these injuries. I'd love to come out with less than we went in. That'd be great. Designed Pete's Beach House. My wish is for us to keep the run D where it has been and start improving the pass D. I am with her. Absolutely. Drop those yards down, make more faster pressure up front, all that stuff. That is a wish for sure. And then Red Wagon, wish to have our offense start strong and finish strong. We had one of those games. We started with a first half game, a terrible second half. We had a full game, and then we had a not awesome first half and a great second half. I'm with Red Wagon there. Car, I wish Jamal Adams plays and is not injured. Brandon, your what if Super Hawk for this game on Monday Night Football?
Yeah, my what if Super Hawk for the game against the Giants. You know what? Because he's going to bounce back after hearing on 3 in 3 out, getting the out from Clinton Bonner. It's going to be Tyler Lockett. He needs just one more game to tie Darrell Jackson for second place in Seahawks history for the most 100-yard games.
Ooh,
so
100 yards.
100 yards plus for Tyler Lockett and to move into that place in Seahawks history.
I love that. And I love how most of Brandon's wishes have like some angst, vengeful vibe to them.
Brandon has expressed his love for sports hate over and over again. And this is just another form of it, which I'm here for. So I love it.
Okay. That's the coin he throws in, the sports hate love coin, 2 sides of it into the wish pond. Clinton, what's your what if Super Hawk, your wish for this week?
Yeah, I don't, on 3 in 3 out, I don't hardly get to talk about this individual because we cover the nooks and the crannies already. I think folks know that. But on what if, I can take the big dogs. I can take the MVGeno. So I'm gonna go right back to what I was saying earlier. I'm gonna ratchet it up even a step further and say a 74% or higher completion percentage from Gino paired with at least 2 touchdowns through the air. Awesome. And no interceptions. I'll even put that caveat on there because that's got to be so. You're getting done with a beautiful QBR, like whatever it's spicy. A great PFF rating. So 74% completion or higher, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Just a pristine Gino day on a pristine early fall night in East Rutherford.
And I don't know if we've ever had a Gino wish, but it makes sense. Going against the G-men to have a Gino wish. I love this. That'd mean he'd go into completing the first quarter of the season with only 1 pick. I like that. I like the sound of that.
Nice, yes.
Okay, I kind of want you to win now, Clint.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, you could want that. That's good.
I kind of like
but
both.
Also because it would benefit my wish.
Yes.
And give me the win.
Why not both? Why not both?
Why not have both? We should have everything on Monday Night Football when Pete's coaching. Now to the score. We're going to predict the score. You guys both did a pretty good job on predicting the score. Neither wish quite happened. There wasn't the sack, fumble, and 5 pressures from Uchenna. JSN did not get his first TD, but I think you pushed Bobo into his, so that's cool. But Clinton got the exact point differential on the game.
Why credit on the pushing the Bobo touchdown? How about I push Jaron Reed to have a big day on the defensive line?
That's true. You both did. Great job by both of you. Yeah, great job. Yeah, at least you're only complaining about that and not the obvious win that Clinton had with nailing the score this week. I felt this was my easiest courtroom decision on who got the win. But Brandon, you get to predict the score first. What do you got in this game? We're 1-point dogs.
Yeah, 1-point dogs to the G-men who never seem to show up in prime time, and somehow they're favored in terms of the final score. This, to me, it seems like the perfect time to win back-to-back games by at least 1 or more scores. And they had the 10-point win against the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to say they are able to do at least an 8-point or better victory. I'm going to say the Seahawks 27, the Giants 19.
27-19 Seahawks. Clinton, what score would you like to lock in?
Yeah, let's lock it up, take it to the bank, do all the things here. I have a feeling we're going to win this game pretty big. I just do. I think we match up really
because you're
well.
not going to go to the game and ruin the weather. Is that why?
Right. Exactly correct. But I think we match up well against this team. I just do. I think we're going to be able to move the ball at will. They don't have insane weapons, especially on the outside. They just don't. They're lacking stars across the offense. I don't see them running the ball well unless Daniel Jones figures out a way to, pull like a Lamar Jackson of a day off.
Has the team needed weapons to go off though against this past D?
Yeah, but sure, but they needed 58 attempts.
Yeah, that's right.
To do that, so it wasn't like
just being rascal.
No, I totally get it. It's a fair point.
They went off in a half against the Cardinals after being down. What was it? 25 points? 20. I think we had 25 or 28-0 or whatever that was.
We played one really good quarterback so far, and that's true.
That's and right, and we're not about to play another one now, right? So, with all that, with that long drum roll, I think we're winning this game somewhere along the lines like 30 to, I want to say 19. I think we win by 11 points.
Okay. You guys are both giving us a 2-score victory. I like it. Anything else to add on the game before we close her out here?
I just kind of like how Clinton, he could have gone the $1 over Price is Right rules, and because we both picked 19, he could have said 29-19. But he left a little bit of wiggle room so we could, if the Seahawks win by 9 points, then it's a virtual tie between the two of us.
Then we'll have to give a tie for sure, unless someone gets their wish. The wish trumps the points, but no one has got their wish yet. May this be the week someone gets their wish.
Yes.
And I think with that, gentlemen, what if we say go Hawks?
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks. Squish the G-Men.
Yeah.